If you take a regular mechanical watch, you have the second hand, like you call it sweeping second hand. It goes with impulses, so 6 semi-oscillations per second, it jumps, it goes ahead. And the jumping second has these intervals of each jump, each second. This is the third Richard Lange watch with the typical triangular regulator dial. And after the Richard Lange tourbillon polymeride and the Richard Lange perpetual Terra Luna, there's now the Richard Lange jumping second. For the Richard Lange jumping second, we gave the jumping second hand the biggest stage. The hour hand on the left, the minute hand on the right. On top of that, this is also the third with the typical triangular regulator dial, which has a constant force device. Because the first, the Richard Lange tourbillon polymeride, had the fusion chain movement. The Richard Lange perpetual Terra Luna had that constant force device, you know, with the 10 seconds interval. And the Richard Lange jumping second has the constant force device with 1 second interval. Let me explain to you the third constant force escapement of A.Lange Söhne. We start with the barrel. The first gear train is powering the balance wheel. Here you recognize the constant force device, which splits it and powers the escapement in second intervals. How come these seconds? How does the system know it's per second? That is delivered by the second gear train, powered by the same barrel. And by this long lever, because the flirt, is in contact with a 5-star pinion on the escape wheel. Because the challenge is that to divide the 6 semi-oscillations to 1 each second, because we have a jumping second. And that happens over here. Each second is liberating the long lever, the flirt, and it powers and recharges this little hairspring to be able to power the escapement. Lange wouldn't be Lange if we just leave it like that, but we did another thing in this watch, the typical extra, a zero reset. And that's a quite tricky and unique combination, I think. On top of that very delicate jumping second mechanism with that constant force, a zero reset function. As soon as you pull the crown, the second hand will jump to 0. Then you can set the hands, the time. As soon as you push the crown, it starts running again. A jumping second on its own is already a bit delicate. And if you integrate a zero reset function, it's even more delicate, because a jumping second needs to jump at every minute indication. As soon as you pull the crown, you release that harmony and you just set the watch at 0. And everything should be back in harmony as soon as you push the crown. In fact, not enough of all these novelties in this watch. We have another new system integrated, and we call that the end of power indication. But what does that mean? You have a watch with constant force. The watch runs with a power reserve of 42 hours. In fact, you only would like to be warned when you need to rewind your watch. Nothing more. And that's what the end of power indication stands for. There's a little triangular arrow on the dial, which is normally in the color of the dial. For the last 10 hours, this becomes red. So you get a warning when you have to rewind your watch. As soon as you rewind the watch, the triangular becomes silver again.